have Israeli cousins. They are held in high estimation by my American family, who feel that they are brave and hardy and pioneering and trailblazing. And they imagine them dodging rockets from Lebanon and buses blowing up and going about their regular day and jumping out of helicopters and things like that. And they hold them in very high esteem. They got there because my grandmother's brother, my great uncle, moved to Israel in 1956. He had 5 children. There are 2 of them whom I'm fairly close with, or was a while ago. 2 of the middle children, or the middle child and the youngest one. Their names are Yossi and Zevi. Yossi is a hardy type. He's hard scrabble. He's blue collar. He works with his hands. He speaks Hebrew because he's an Israeli, but he speaks English with a Bronx accent because that's where his uncle grew up, so he talks like this. It's a little strange. And the younger brother, Zevi, is someone I hold sort of like a Holden Caulfield type, somebody I could maybe sort of relate to a little bit better. I was part of a program that went to Israel in 1993 to 1994. I deferred my first year of college and went with a program along with some of my friends and colleagues and people I'd known for years from summer camps and educational experiences. And the idea there was to give us a sense of what it's like to live in Israel. We studied, we traveled, we volunteered. We tried to inculcate ourselves into the culture, learn the language, and the idea was to make us into people who would want to move to Israel so that we could help them fulfill their Zionist dream. So that's what I did, and I was there, as I said, between the years of 1993 and 1994. Well, my cousins found me, knew that I was there, found me and kidnapped me and took me away from the program, which to them was an ultra-left-wing, bleeding heart liberal, Jewish Voices for Peace, kind of like wishy-washy, panty-waist kind of thing. And they wanted to get me away from there because they thought that I was being indoctrinated because all those Americans were lefties and they were stupid and they didn't know what was really going on. And they would teach me what was really going on in this country. And that was really important to them to explain to me, a member of their family, a flesh and blood member, what was really happening here. Because I didn't understand because I was a stupid American and I lived a soft life, which, yes, I lived a soft life. I wasn't jumping out of planes. There was a moment where, and I remember this very well, they took me outside near where they lived and they pointed, as all militant zealots do, to a hill some 2 miles away, and they said, "Do you see that Arab over there?" The proverbial Arab. And they said, "That Arab over there would sooner cut your throat than give you a glass of tea. We need you to understand that. We need you to understand that it's your job to kill the Arab before he kills you." The concept of Palestinians being resident on their own land was anathema to them. They just couldn't understand it. Any Arab to them was somebody who wanted to take something away from them, and therefore we had to kill them first. And that was what they firmly believed. And they lived and they breathed that, truthfully, deeply. They really, really believed that, and they wanted me to believe it too, and they were trying to make sure that I was brought into the fold. The uncle of whom I spoke earlier was very sick when I was there in 1993 and 1994, and ultimately in April of 94, he died. I missed the funeral because I was having sex with a girl. I liked her very much. We were young and in love, in our teens, and it kind of slipped my mind that the funeral was happening at this time in Jerusalem, and I was way up north in Kiryat Shmona. It was a 4-hour bus drive, and I was like, whoops, I missed the funeral. So to make it up for them, I decided to join my cousins, Yossi and Zevi, on their trip to the unveiling of the grave, which typically takes place in Judaism 30 days after the initial burial. So we got into Yossi's rickety truck, and we drove through the wild streets of East Jerusalem to the Mount of Olives, where my uncle was buried for the grave unveiling. Now, we drove through streets that you can't really drive through anymore. This was 1994. In the time since Oslo, between then and now, in those 30 or so years, lots of those streets are off limits, and lots of the places that I took the bus to go visit my lover are also off limits because they're behind the security wall now. So it's a very different kind of landscape. We're driving along through East Jerusalem, and I didn't really comprehend what was happening until it was pretty much over. I heard a click, and the next thing I knew, my cousin was reaching across me. We were all in the front of the truck because there was no back seat. Reaching across me, opening a glove compartment, taking out a Glock, and firing out of the side window and saying, I think I got one of them, I think I got him. What I learned later was that they had been shooting at children, 2 children who had presumably thrown a rock which had cracked the glass of the windshield. And their response to that was to try and murder those children. To them, this is what you do, of course, because the children are starting out just now with little pebbles, but later on, they'll be blowing themselves up in the market, and you need to keep them from doing that. So about 15 or 20 minutes after the shooting incident, we are now graveside singing prayers in Hebrew for my dearly departed uncle. Here's the thing. They sort of missed the boat with me. I don't want to kill anyone ever. So trying to inculcate in me the idea that there are certain people who you want to kill and certain people whose deaths are more important, that never cut any ice with me. I don't want anyone to murder anyone under any circumstances, ever.